Hola, me llamo Vanessa. Sí, tengo. Me gusta hacer la tarea, hacer tareas.
So warmly welcome everyone. I'm so happy to see that so many of you have logged on and will be joining us for this field trip to Bolivia. My name is Pernilla Baralt and I'm the Secretary General of UNICEF Sweden. And I am so happy to see that we on this digital field trip today have a number of UNICEF Sweden's member organizations. Very welcome to you. We have several of our partners in private business. Warmly welcome to you. We have several of our ambassadors. Warmly welcome to you and all you others who have joined us and chosen to spend this afternoon together with us and our wonderful colleagues in UNICEF office in Bolivia. We are going to take you on a trip where we hope that you will be able to see with your own eyes and understand how UNICEF today is working with this enormous task that concerns us all to vaccinate the whole world. No one is safe until everyone is safe. And the truth is that only 1% of the populations in low-income countries so far has been vaccinated. This field trip will tell you about this global mission that UNICEF have, which is called Covax, to buy and distribute and make sure that the vaccine is delivered all the way into the arms of the people who need it most. We will talk about our day-to-day work when it comes to routine immunization, to the routine child vaccinations. And I'm going to give you a figure important to remember, that UNICEF Global is vaccinating 45% of the world's children under the year of 1. And over 80 million children this year, because of the pandemic, has missed out on routine vaccinations. You're also going to get insight from our colleagues in Bolivia, how they work with healthcare in general, how to protect every child to make sure that every child can develop to their full potential. So I am looking forward to introduce our concrete work in Bolivia and also increase your knowledge about the task that UNICEF now have in the world, which is in the program of Covax. We talk a lot in Sweden right now about, have you had the first shot? Have you had a second shot? But it really is the time now to make sure that the rest of the world get their shot. So warmly welcome. And this field trip will include a Q&A session at the end. So please write down any questions that you have. And at the end of this trip, you are going to meet my colleagues live again, as well as Stefan Swartling Pettersson, our global health expert based with us here in Sweden and at Karolinska Institute to reply to all your questions. So buckle up and enjoy this deep dive into Bolivia and the important work that our colleagues is doing there, thanks to many of your efforts and financial contributions. Let's go and let's see a movie first about Covax.
Distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine is one of the biggest logistics challenges in history. How is UNICEF helping to make it happen? UNICEF was tapped by the Global Vaccine Alliance to lead on the procurement and supply of the COVID-19 vaccine for 92 lower and middle-income countries, and serve as procurement coordinator for 90 higher-income countries. UNICEF's goal is to ensure the delivery of 2 billion COVID-19 vaccine doses around the world in 2021.
UNICEF is procuring a total of 520 million auto-disabled syringes and 5.2 million safety boxes, and pre-positioning them in warehouses in Copenhagen and in Dubai.
Laid end-to-end, these syringes would encircle the world 1.5 times. And this is just the beginning. UNICEF is scaling up the delivery of vaccination supplies as they're needed.
You may ask, why are we positioning all of these stocks?
Let's back up a second. Vaccines are made up of 2 things. There's the serum that provides immunity, and there's the injection device. During its journey to the people who need it, the vaccine must be kept cold. The COVID-19 vaccine will be administered by a syringe, which then has to be disposed of safely. Because UNICEF helps vaccinate almost half the world's children, UNICEF knows how to bring all these parts together. UNICEF has the world's largest humanitarian supply warehouse in Copenhagen and another in Dubai, and can get life-saving essentials anywhere within 72 hours. But here's the tricky part when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccine.
Vaccines are shipped by air, and these injection devices are shipped by sea. Vaccines will take 1 to 3 days to arrive, and these syringes would normally take between 2 to 4 months to arrive. Within an emergency response such as the COVID-19 response, we don't have those timelines to work with. So by bringing these products to these two hubs in Copenhagen and Dubai, it brings the products closer to the end users and reduces our response times.
All that's left is for the safe, effective vaccine to be administered. Then UNICEF won't stop until everyone has access to it. Because no one is safe until everyone is safe.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the movie, which gave you a quick summary of how UNICEF is working to distribute vaccine. And I want just to remind you again that it's close to 2 billion doses vaccine that UNICEF has promised to distribute in the world in the end of this year and the beginning of next year. So now, Marcelo, my dear colleague in Bolivia, I will give the floor to you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much, Pernilla, for choosing Bolivia for the virtual field trip. We would have loved having you here in Bolivia, as we usually do with these field visits, but as we cannot do that, we will show you this beautiful country and very diverse country through different videos. We'll take you to the Amazon, which covers 70% of this country, and also to the mountains. We are going to see how the Covax vaccines are being distributed here in collaboration with the partner of UNICEF on that, which is WHO. They are leading the distribution of the vaccines, and UNICEF is playing a role that we are going to show you later on. So far, you need to know that Bolivia, up to yesterday, Bolivia have received only 2 million COVID vaccines. Approximately 500,000 of them came from the Covax mechanism. Bolivia is a country with a population of 11 million people. Approximately 7.5 million are eligible to receive the vaccine. So Bolivia needs 15 million vaccines, but only received 2 million so far. So while you in Europe might be already discarding or taking out your face masks, here in Latin America, in the harsh winter, we are far from that. So as you know, India might have commanded much of the world's attention over recent weeks. However, the deaths per million have been much higher here in Latin America, of course, with smaller countries. This crisis has, of course, impacted children. One obvious way in which children have been impacted here in Bolivia, for instance, is with the closures of schools. More than 60% of children haven't come back to school since March 2020. So they have been out of school for 15 months now. And according to statistics of the World Bank, 20% of children here in Bolivia are in risk of dropping out once classes begin again. Another area where children have been impacted is in routine immunization. It's important for you to know that in the first quarter of this year, in 2021, there was a decrease in routine immunization of children under 1 year old of more than 20% compared with the same quarter of 2020. For this reason, we are going to start this virtual field trip by showing you a beautiful video on how UNICEF has been supporting local government in El Alto, here 4,000 meters above the sea level, to put together mobile teams to go household by household to vaccinate children. You are going to see also how UNICEF has been strengthening the cold chain for routine immunization, which of course has an implication also in the cold chain for the COVID vaccine. Let's take a look at that video, please.
11 tipos de vacunas llegan de todas partes del mundo para proteger a millones de niños y niñas en Bolivia. Una vez que aterrizan en el aeropuerto, son ubicadas en este camión frigorífico que cuenta con todas las medidas de protección para que las vacunas lleguen al almacén donde son resguardadas para continuar con su camino. En el almacén central, las vacunas se recepcionan, conservan y distribuyen para llegar a los lugares más alejados del país. Querido Enrique, ¿nos puede contar cómo ayuda UNICEF en el proceso de vacunación?
Ha sido uno de los socios más importantes, ha proporcionado refrigeradores, ha proporcionado vacunas inclusive, para que nosotros podamos ahorita tener una población que no esté enferma.
Actualmente, UNICEF apoya en el fortalecimiento del Programa Nacional de Vacunación, en la cadena de frío, brinda insumos de bioseguridad y también impulsa campañas informativas que llegan a todo el país. Cuando las vacunas salen del almacén, se distribuyen por todos los medios de transporte posible, cruzan cerros o ríos hasta llegar a los centros más alejados del país. No importa cuántos días demoren, pero siempre llegan oportunamente para proteger la vida de los niños bolivianos. Hoy visitamos el Centro de Salud Mercedes, ubicado en la ciudad de El Alto. Normalmente llegan papás y mamás de la zona o de otras provincias del departamento de La Paz para vacunar a sus pequeños. Sin embargo, por la pandemia, aproximadamente un 40% de los niños y niñas en Bolivia están en riesgo de no recibir sus vacunas. Para hacer frente a este problema, se han organizado brigadas de vacunación que visitan a las familias en sus casas. El trabajo comienza muy temprano. Las brigadas organizan las vacunas, los termos y también identifican las zonas donde irán a vacunar. Su labor es muy sacrificada, porque muchas veces tienen que caminar durante horas y en largos trechos. Durante la cuarentena rígida, esta situación empeoró por la falta de transporte y por el temor a exponerse al virus. Acompañamos a la brigada en su visita al barrio Nuevo Amanecer en la zona de Sencata. Llegamos a visitar a la pequeña Noé para que ella reciba sus vacunas, micronutrientes y desparasitantes. El rol que cumple la brigada es fundamental, ya que llevan consigo salud y aseguran el acceso universal a la vacunación.
Mi nombre es Giovanna Pari Flores. En mi domicilio viven 10 personas. La pequeñita que han vacunado es mi sobrina. Ahorita ya tiene 1 año y medio, es la más pequeñita. Entonces ella es lo que le faltaba las vacunas por los problemas que había más antes de los bloqueos y del coronavirus, y se enfermó más antes y su mamá no le ha podido llevar al centro de salud. Bueno, a nosotros nos motiva a vacunar a los niños porque es una obligación que los papás tenemos, ¿no? Para que nuestros hijos estén sanos, no se enfermen, para cuidarlos.
Gracias al programa de inmunización, millones de niños y niñas reciben sus vacunas y crecen protegidos de enfermedades. Ellos ahora están sanos, fuertes y viven con alegría.
Oh my gosh, so proud of working for UNICEF, no? Such a nice video. I hope that you are all proud of working or supporting UNICEF as we are here in the field. And there are a lot of similarities between the work of UNICEF Bolivia in supporting the routine immunization program and the support that we are providing now to the rollout of the COVID vaccine. So what we are going to show you throughout this virtual field trip is how UNICEF is supporting the COVID rollout in different ways. First, expanding the cold chain. As you might have seen in the video, we are supporting the strengthening of the cold chain. And now we are building 4 additional storage facilities and buying 100 of additional cold boxes to transport the COVID vaccines. A big challenge in this very diverse and huge country is distributing the vaccines to remote communities where they are most needed, and UNICEF is helping on that. And finally, as you know, vaccine hesitancy is a big deal here in Latin America. Even with the low supply of vaccines, there isn't enough demand for these vaccines. So we will try to show you how UNICEF, through communications campaigns with celebrities, through theater in the field, is helping local communities to deal with this big issue of hesitancy in the vaccine. And as we are speaking about remote communities, we wanted to introduce you to our Chief of Office in the Amazon, Pedro Lopez, who is going to tell us a little bit more about the work of UNICEF providing services in the Amazon during this very harsh 15 months. This video, you need to know that has been recorded because the connection wasn't that good, so we recorded it recently.
Nos encontramos en la comunidad de La Misión, parte de las 18 comunidades yuracarés del trópico de Cochabamba, donde habitan más de 5.000 personas indígenas yuracarés. Poblaciones muy distantes, poblaciones muy dispersas, poblaciones que incluso están a 3 días de bote. Entonces la situación de acceso, sobre todo a los servicios, es difícil, ¿no? El llegar con educación, con salud a estas comunidades muestran indicadores por debajo de la media del resto del país. Durante estos últimos 3 años hemos estado trabajando para asegurarnos que los niños, niñas y adolescentes viven libres de violencia, tienen acceso a servicios de salud, tienen acceso a servicios de educación de calidad. Durante este tiempo hemos estado coordinando con las autoridades locales para que se involucren y para que tomen conciencia de la situación y tomemos juntos acción para resolverla. Sin embargo, durante el 2020 hemos visto cómo la pandemia nos ha afectado a todos, pero de manera particular a la población yuracaré. Las escuelas han cerrado, los centros de salud, el 80% del personal médico ha sido afectado por la pandemia, ha sido afectado por el COVID y por tanto los centros han cerrado. Hemos visto cómo los casos de violencia han aumentado durante este tiempo, hemos visto cómo los casos de embarazo adolescente han aumentado durante la pandemia y no han recibido atención ni en salud ni en educación. La pandemia nos ha afectado de manera muy particular y ha hecho que el trabajo durante 3 años se haya parado y hemos tenido que reorganizarnos y replantearnos las cosas para tomar de nuevo acción. Ello nos ha llevado a dotar a los servicios de salud y al personal de salud con elementos de bioseguridad, alcohol en gel, para que puedan seguir haciendo su trabajo con seguridad. Hemos instalado en los hospitales y en los centros de salud estaciones de lavado de manos para que también los usuarios puedan acceder a los servicios de salud con las garantías necesarias. Hemos definido protocolos de retorno a las escuelas para garantizar que los niños, niñas y adolescentes y los docentes y los profesores y profesoras vuelven con seguridad a las unidades educativas. Hemos trabajado también con los servicios de protección para garantizar que esas niñas y niños que han sido víctimas de violencia tengan seguimiento y tengan el apoyo necesario para la restitución de sus derechos. Con UNICEF trabajamos con los prestadores de servicio de salud, de educación o de protección para que no importa dónde estén los niños, no importa en qué comunidad vivan, tengan acceso a la salud, a la educación y a la protección.
Yes. Okay. Thanks so much to Pedro for the fantastic work in the field. And I'm sorry that if you couldn't see the final part of that video on how we are providing services in the most remote areas of the Amazon. Now we wanted to show you an experience even in farther areas of the Amazon, the vaccination of the Yuki community. The Yuki is an indigenous group that they're only in the initial stages of contact with the outside world. Their contact with the outside world started only in the 90s. And as a group new to society or to the rest of the country, they have been affected by different diseases, such as tuberculosis and other diseases. In the first wave of the COVID, 60% of this indigenous population, 60% of them have been affected by COVID. And due to the prevalences of other diseases such as tuberculosis, again, the morbidity has been really high in this group. For that reason, UNICEF and the UN advocated for the prioritization on their vaccination. And we had the opportunity to witness. I personally went there. Was one of my best experiences ever in 15 years working for UNICEF when we participated in the campaign to vaccinate them. It's really far. What you are going to see looks nice and close, but it's almost 300 kilometers away from Cochabamba, but almost 10 hours due to the condition of the route, and Cochabamba is another 5 hours from here. So it was a long trip, but I hope that you enjoy the vaccination campaign and the support in general that UNICEF has been providing for the Yuki group in the Amazon.
Nos encontramos en la comunidad de Villarecuaté, donde nos espera la población Yuki. Ellos habitan ese territorio desde tiempos ancestrales, pero fueron descubiertos hace solo 40 años y aún existen familias no contactadas. Es una comunidad guerrera que se dedica a la recolección, la caza y la pesca. En la comunidad viven 180 personas, de las que 80 son niños y niñas. Toda la comunidad sufre varias enfermedades. La principal es la tuberculosis, que arrasa con el 10% de la población al año aproximadamente. También sufren micosis pulmonar, anemia, parasitosis y muchos niños desnutrición. Durante el COVID-19, la gran mayoría de ellos quedaron sin medios para subsistir. Al menos el 80% de la población cursó la enfermedad de forma clínica, pero su fortaleza los ayudó a resistir y a pesar de todas las dificultades y probabilidades, no se lamentó ni una sola pérdida. Al terminar la cuarentena y ante el cierre de las escuelas, muchas familias yuki se dedicaron a mendigar, siendo los niños y niñas los más expuestos. Por eso UNICEF, a través de sus aliados, desarrolla diferentes iniciativas para salvar la vida de las familias y pequeños yukis. Para dar continuidad a los servicios de salud en la zona, en la emergencia llegamos con insumos de bioseguridad y pruebas para el personal de salud. También entregamos materiales de protección a las familias y estaciones de lavados de mano a la comunidad.
Yo soy una madre de 7 hijos y tengo como 10 nietos ahorita y todos nosotros vivimos en un solo casa. 3 o 4 personas han tenido COVID. Primero, mi esposo, mis tíos, y eso me preocupaba harto cuando mi esposo estaba muy mal y estaba bien delicado y yo dije que se va a morir, pero me han llevado a vacunar, todo eso, y decían si después de vacuna puede haber afecto o no. Y hasta ahorita no me ha pasado nada. Solamente gracias a Dios que siempre está con nosotros y hemos estado bien nomás, y como yuki, ¿no?
Para hacer frente a la enfermedad y evitar posibles recontagios, llegamos con la esperanza a la comunidad, tratando de vacunar con la vacuna del COVID-19 a toda la población yuki, esperando salvar así su vida y su cultura.
Okay, we hope that you are enjoying the trip through Bolivia and that you are also improving your Spanish. Are you understanding anything that we are saying here in Spanish? Now we are going to introduce you to our Chief of Health, Hugo Rasuri, who is going to explain us a little bit more about the impact of health workers like Janine in the lives of children. We wanted to do this live from a health center in El Alto, but the connection wasn't that good, so this video was pre-recorded a few weeks ago. Even if Hugo is super busy now with the response to COVID, he's going to be available for questions and answers after that with our representative as well, Rafael Ramirez. So if you want to start asking your questions, please do so. Hugo, in this video that again was recently recorded, will tell us more about the coordination with the Ministry of Health and the local government to deliver services to children, and from the Los Pinos Hospital in El Alto, a city that you need to know, it is located 4,000 meters above the sea level and where UNICEF is doing a lot of work.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Hugo Rasuri y soy el jefe de salud de UNICEF en La Paz, Bolivia. Y estoy hoy día en la puerta del Centro de Salud Los Pinos, en la ciudad del Alto. UNICEF ha venido ayudando al Ministerio de Salud por muchos años en promover los programas de inmunizaciones. Hemos por décadas ayudado al gobierno boliviano con equipos de cadenas de frío, con entrenamiento para el personal de salud, con monitoreo de los programas de inmunizaciones y con ayudar al Ministerio de Salud y al gobierno boliviano a que lleguen a los lugares más lejanos. Las poblaciones indígenas en Bolivia y en otras partes de Latinoamérica y el mundo son poblaciones que están aisladas, pero a veces también marginalizadas. Y por ello, cuando llegue el COVID-19 a estas comunidades, los efectos pueden ser mucho más riesgosos. Y este año, por ejemplo, estamos ayudándolos a comprar y a instalar al menos 4 grandes cámaras de frío de 40 metros cúbicos que van a ayudar a incrementar la capacidad de almacenamiento del país. También estamos ayudando, por ejemplo, con cajas frías, estas cajas que sirven para llevar las vacunas al campo y hacer las campañas de vacunación. Esto es importante para todo el programa de inmunizaciones. Programas de inmunizaciones que incluyen vacunas como las vacunas contra polio, contra tuberculosis, contra sarampión, contra rubiola, que se aplican cada año a los niños y que realmente salvan miles de vidas. A raíz de los lockdowns que hubieron, los cierres de la circulación y del distanciamiento social, muchos establecimientos como este cerraron. Y la cadena de trabajo con los temas de salud y las intervenciones claves de salud se interrumpieron, ¿no? Dejando a muchos niños sin la posibilidad de acceder a intervenciones como vacunación, como los controles de crecimiento, como el tratamiento de enfermedades prevalentes en la infancia. UNICEF y otros partners lograron que desde centros de salud como este salieran brigadas, pudieran salir e ir puerta por puerta para buscar a esos niños que no habían podido ser inmunizados porque los establecimientos habían estado cerrados. Gracias a este tipo de intervenciones y gracias a apoyo de organizaciones como UNICEF, se logró que para fin de año este 40% de niños que solamente se había librado de inmunizar se recupere y solamente 10% de niños hayan retrasado sus inmunizaciones.
Al principio por el temor de las mamás, por el temor, incluso por la misma cuarentena que había, y la restricción por el número de carnet de identidad para sus salidas, se ha evitado, digamos, que se vacune, o sea, ha descendido bastante, pero a medida que hemos continuado con las medidas de bioseguridad, hemos aumentado también nuestras coberturas. Hemos tenido la parte de los rastrillajes, hemos tenido apoyo de internos de odontología, medicina, que nos han ayudado a hacer rastrillajes y buscar a los niños que les faltaban vacunas. No solo las vacunas, sino también algunos micronutrientes que nosotros tenemos, pero aún así hay una población que falta poder llegar a ese tipo de niños, por ejemplo, que viven en zonas más alejadas.
¿Qué le diría a la gente sobre la vacuna, sobre el mensaje, sobre si vacunarse, sobre las dudas que puedan tener?
Yo creo que todos nos tenemos que vacunar, ¿sí? Cuantas personas más llegue la vacuna es muchísimo mejor, porque vamos a evitar así que este virus siga transmitiéndose y de esta manera la vacunación es segura. La mayoría no hemos presentado síntomas o han sido síntomas leves y no ha habido por qué tenerle miedo a la vacuna. Al contrario, sino nos vemos un poco más tranquilos, pero sin bajar la guardia, porque tenemos que seguirnos cuidando. Todos sentimos miedo porque no sabemos frente a qué nos estamos encontrando. No sabemos si es un paciente asintomático o es un paciente que está escondiendo sus síntomas. Entonces sí hemos tenido bastante miedo. Hay muchos colegas que han fallecido, bastantes de nuestro gremio, desde enfermeros, médicos, odontólogos. Y realmente es triste. No, más bien muchísimas gracias a UNICEF, muchas gracias por el apoyo durante todo este tiempo. Ha estado la doctora, está el otro doctor, siempre hemos tenido apoyo. Y gracias a UNICEF, por ejemplo, nosotros nos hemos podido cuidar.
Es gracias a ustedes que podemos nosotros ayudar a que madres como ella traigan a sus hijos a seguirlos vacunando, a seguirlos controlando y seguir recibiendo muchas intervenciones.
We hope you enjoyed this visit, and it was interesting to see how much our chief of health was talking with the doctor about vaccine hesitancy, which might not be a big deal in Sweden, but here it is again a big issue due to different myths that are circulating through WhatsApp, due to the lack of trust in everything that comes from the government, from this indigenous population. Again, you need to remember that in Bolivia, 60% of the population identifies themselves as belonging to indigenous groups. So for that reason, so many conversations about vaccine hesitancy and the importance of getting the vaccine. Moving on, we wanted to introduce you to our representative, Rafael Ramirez, who is live and who will tell you a little bit more about how UNICEF is rolling out the support to the distribution of the vaccine and the Covax mechanism here in Bolivia. the collaboration with other UN organizations, with civil society, and maybe also the collaboration with Sweden, which is, by the way, the largest supporter of UNICEF in Bolivia. Rafael, are you there?
Yes, hello. Hello to everyone, and thank you, Pernilla and Marcelo, for the introduction. Actually, and to guide us through this whole trip, which is very nice, very important for the children, basically for children of Bolivia. And yeah, I mean, we have focused a lot in vaccines because that was the objective of this meeting today. But of course, in UNICEF, we are working in many other areas like education, protection against violence for children, and education. So basically, there is all of this effort of vaccines, both supporting the COVID vaccination effort through Covax and other bilateral support that we are providing to the Ministry of Health and to the communities, support this work in other areas, because we are trying to make sure that the services, both in health, but in education, and also in protection, are functioning, are coming back to life very quickly, so that children is supported the way they should be. And for that, we work very closely with our UN partners, with the UN agencies in country, especially in terms of health with WHO, PAHO, the Pan American Health Organization, but also with other UN agencies like UNDP, UNFPA, even the International Financial Institution. So basically, we are very a cohesive group that are trying to bring relief, but also development to this country. So we are very glad and very thankful to our sister agencies for their support. But also, in order to get to the field, to get to all those remote areas that we have seen, we would not be able to do it without the support of community-based organizations, with NGOs like Save the Children or Caritas, that we are working very close with, that will help us actually, go farther and quicker and closer to the community. So we are very proud and thankful also for their support and collaboration with UNICEF. And finally, well, what can I say? I'm extremely proud and happy with my team, with the team of UNICEF here. As you can see, as you have seen already, very motivated, very committed, and a group of people that actually know very clearly what needs to be done and are willing to do it even in these difficult circumstances. Some of these field trips that Marcelo was showing us, our team has gone there without being vaccinated, just taking the risk and taking care of themselves. Sometimes I have had, to make these decisions of whether you should go or not to certain places which were very high in terms of the pandemic. But the team was like, they will twist my arm. So I'm thankful for that and very proud. And also for those who support us from abroad, from you guys. As Marcelo mentioned, Sweden is one of our biggest partners. For that, we thank the Swedish people and all of you that are always there for us, giving us not only your support in terms of I don't know, technical assistance or funding, but also just for being there and for being interested in the work we do, and especially here in Bolivia. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rafael. And now we have one additional video to show you before we move on to the section of the Q&A. So please continue writing your questions in the Q&A section of the Zoom chat. And I know with this video, I'm going to cry again. It's such a good experience was for us visiting and watching this experience. It is a theater play made by indigenous groups belonging to the Yuracare community to explain to the other Yuracares the importance of the COVID vaccine. When I went there, they were telling me, no, we don't need the vaccine. We are okay with the ginger and the lemon. But they weren't okay. The doctors there told us that they lost a lot of people due to COVID. Fabiola herself, the star of this video, the person who started this theater group, lost her husband due to COVID. She's in her 20s. She has 2 children. And for that reason, she wanted to start a play by Yuracare for other Yuracares to explain the importance of getting the vaccine, no? Because again, vaccine hesitancy is a big issue here in the developing world and in Bolivia in particular. And it was amazing when we were there in the field, we were speaking and they weren't paying attention to us, of course, to the UN people saying technical stuff. But when the play started, they stopped, they were quiet, listening, laughing in different moments of the play. So I hope that you enjoy this and that maybe you can get emotional as well with this play.
El virus más temido del mundo, y estoy en el territorio de Yuracare.
Hola, soy Fabiola Cristina Orozco Torrico, tengo 29 años, soy nacida en Puerto Victoria, pero ahora estamos en la comunidad de La Misión. Nosotros hicimos este teatro sobre el COVID porque queremos que la gente no se quede sin vacunas.
Al COVID-19 vamos a vencer. Al COVID-19 vamos a vencer.
Cuando he tenido COVID me he sentido súper asustada porque soy padre y madre para mis hijos. En ese rato pensé en mis hijos, ¿qué sería si a mí me pasara algo? ¿Y con quién dejaría a mis hijos? Yo también he perdido al papá de mis hijos por el COVID. Él ha fallecido. Ese era mi temor, ¿no? Es muy duro. Perder a un familiar, perder a un ser querido, es demasiado duro. Yo deseo para mi comunidad de que ellos se vacunen, que sean conscientes de que el COVID sí existe. Eso no es una mentira. El COVID no se fija en si tienes dinero o no tienes dinero. Es que todo el mundo concientice, ¿no? Que el COVID sí existe y que se hagan vacunar.
Yo soy la deja firme, mi capitán.
Yo soy el ajo firme, mi capitán.
Aliados, hoy tenemos una gran misión de eliminar al coronavirus.
Thank you so much, Marcelo and Rafael and everyone who's been in this video. It is amazing to see this concrete work adapted to the situation in which you work. And thanks to all your co-workers, and you have to send them all our regards. And also what is very clear in this movie is that if we are going to solve this, we have to work in partnerships with governments, with companies, with civil society organizations. And we also have a lot of other children's rights organizations with us today. And it's wonderful to have you here as well as colleagues as well from UNICEF Sweden. Before I introduce the panel, it's important to understand that we are facing the largest child rights crisis in the world that we have ever seen since UNICEF started to measure the survival of children for the first time in modern history. The figures are not getting better every year. They are this year going up for the first time ever. And when it comes to education, as you have seen, so many children, millions of children have not been in school because of the closure of societies and the closure of schools. And all of this we can fix if we ensure that everyone gets vaccinated now. And as we've heard, it's not that easy. We can do it, but there is a lot of information, dialogue to find a way to build trust once you have the vaccine. Thank you for the questions that has been put in the Q&A chat. Please keep them coming. And before we start with the questions, I would like to introduce the panelists that will help us to answer your questions or take your suggestions on how we can do this even better together. So Rafael Ramirez is with us again. Thank you for giving us the broader picture while we have focused today very much on the healthcare centers, health actions and actions linked to Covax. Very welcome, Hugo. So nice to see you live with us, health specialist in Bolivia. I am sure that you will be able to answer perhaps the two first questions. And I would also like to say Stefan Swartling Pettersson, and thank you for being with us. Stefan, you haven't spoken yet, so
hello,
you are
everyone.
very welcome.
Can you
Just
see
say
me?
hi so we can see you.
My video is on there seemingly, but I don't see myself. I don't know if you see me, but it's not much to see anyhow.
Unfortunately, we don't see you, Stefan, but I'm sure that, you know, we'll try to solve it. If not, we'll go with your voice. So anyway, thank you all for having joined us so far. And now let's take some questions. And as you can see in the Q&A box, we already have two questions. And I think Hugo and maybe Stefan would like to add something, but Hugo, if you start, and I think for everyone's sake, it's good if you just remind everyone a little bit what's in the question. Also, there is an option for everyone. If you would like to answer your question or pose your question orally, just raise your hand and we will give you the floor. If you have problem typing or if you prefer to just orally pose your question, that's also an option. But let's start. Over to you, Hugo.
Thank you, Bernila, and good afternoon to everyone. The first question is from Salvador Alvarado, who is from the WHO Collaborating Center for International Drug Monitoring in Uppsala. And he is asking about more information about the reporting and monitoring of adverse events following immunization in Bolivia and how this is processed and how it's monitored. And I think it's a very important question that touches the basis on what's the work that UNICEF and other UN organizations have been doing for years, strengthening the health systems in Bolivia. No, this is not a one-time work or something that we come to now. No? UNICEF, the Pan American Health Organization, have been working with the Minister of Health, with the technical assistance, training, supporting equipment, and even at some point strengthening human resources to strengthen the capacity of the immunization program in the country. This support has impact in the sense that when we confronted the situation about COVID, Bolivia had already a big experience in managing big immunization campaigns and had experience introducing new vaccines even. No? So we are happy to see that the work that we have been doing for years have paid off now. No? You can see, at least in the immunization part, a country that has the tools necessary to at least mount a new experience. Of course, we are talking about middle income, low middle income countries that still have a lot of work to do ahead and have still some needs in the terms of helping them in organizing the campaigns and polishing certain aspects, and of course a big economic needs for mounting a big enterprise like this. But in the technical aspects, the job that UNICEF and other organizations have been doing for years, it's paying off. In specifically about the monitoring in the country, they are following WHO regulations. They are actually, doing the steps that are recommending about, having vaccination centers where you have the people record their data, inform them about the possible adverse effects, and they stay there for a few minutes after they are vaccinated, and everything, all this is recorded in actually digital system in most of the cities and in paper, and then sent to digitalizing in the main cities afterwards in other places. No, so fortunately, I mean, you could say that this is something that tests the efficacy of the system, but fortunately, we haven't heard about any major adverse event in the case of the vaccines that have been applied in Bolivia until now. But I think it's the bottom line is that the efforts that the organizations like UNICEF are doing in strengthening the system actually impact emergency situations like this. Thank you. And should I move to the second question, Pernilla?
Yes, maybe the one from Sanna, unless Stefan, maybe you would like to add something?
Well, thank you, and sorry about my camera. My picture is, of course, a bit old, so I'm not as pretty as in the picture. In general, we can say that UNICEF always follow WHO regulations and always follow national guidelines. So we don't make up our own guidelines. So but we do help out. So that's the general approach. So whatever the government is doing in terms of reporting, that's what we support.
Thank you very much, Stefan. Over to you, Hugo, and the question from Sanna, which touches a little bit on the similar topics that you touched upon, but let's go on.
And I would like to use the opportunity of Sanna questions regarding the vaccine hesitancy and what we are doing, especially in indigenous populations, to go deeper on what Marcelo already said. No, Bolivia is facing now in this advanced phases of the COVID immunizations, problems with vaccine hesitancy, and to translate it in simple ways, people don't want to receive the vaccines even if they are having access to it. No, and for some municipalities and for some departments, this is becoming a huge problem. We see you, Stefan, now. This for some departments and municipalities is becoming a logistical problem, no? Because they go to some places to start a campaign, and they face that they had planned that 100 people will receive the vaccine, and they face that only 20 of them want to receive the vaccines. No? And in a quick analysis, we can divide this problem in two parts. No, there's a small part of this population living in rural areas, especially. Many of them not speaking Spanish and speaking their original languages, that have heard specific rumors, very, very specific rumors that are produced in sometimes, radical religious organizations that say that vaccines are linked to the devil, or magical thinking like, if you receive the vaccines, you're going to turn into werewolf. But I will say that that's a small percentage, no? And of course, the Minister of Health is trying to specifically address these rumors and with support of organizations like us and WHO. But there's another part that I think is more important, that in a country like Bolivia and some other countries in the region, and I'm guessing in the world, there's these populations, indigenous, with lack of resources. Sometimes they don't speak the language where most of the communication is done, have a chronic mistrust of the state, and have a chronic mistrust of the health services. And this makes very hard, because they hear any rumor about, adverse effects are too strong, or they hear any rumors about this is something that is linked to political reasons, or they hear any rumor just from someone saying that vaccines are not working well and they don't want to be vaccinated. And the Minister of Health and us, we're still trying to find the ways to communicate with those people in the right way, because they don't have access to Facebook, they don't have access to WhatsApp, or the access to digital tools are limited. Sometimes they live in communities that don't have electricity or don't have a regular access to communication. So we have to think of all the ways to communicate to all people. Our mainstream campaigns about vaccine hesitancy and rumors have a focus on digital media, maybe radio, maybe television, but we need to go further. And this, unfortunately, it's resource intensive. We have to go with trucks, with boats. We have to reach the communities on foot, mount, like Marcelo was saying, theater campaigns or mouth-to-mouth communications that can reach these people that haven't been reached for other medical reasons or for other health campaigns or educational campaigns too. So that's as I say, it's very resource intensive, and we are working to try to find a way at least to tell the government how this can be done, and to help them to do it in specific places, and trying to make it as big as possible to try to reduce this vaccine hesitancy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Hugo. And I will, Stefan will get a separate question as well, but would you like to add something to this one first, Stefan?
I think quickly from a global point of view, I was the global chief of health previously for UNICEF. I want to emphasize that it's called hesitancy. It's actually not people refusing vaccine. People are hesitant. And the first thing about that is that we need to make it easy to get vaccinated. You should not have to walk very far and take one kid on a Monday, another kid on a Wednesday, etc. So that's the first part. But the second part is that we also need to be able to answer questions. And we need to actually train our vaccinators and our immunizers and health workers to be able to answer the legitimate questions parents have. And that will take care of 90% of the problem, I would think, in most settings. And then, yes, then there are specific rumors, and you need to keep your finger on the pulse and know the local rumor and address it. And that takes very agile response, as Hugo has just alluded to.
Thank you so much, Stefan. And also, just for everyone's information, that we have during the pandemic worked also very close together with children and young people who are sometimes the ones in the family who have access to digital tools, who have access to other sources of information. And this is actually an instrument that you have in Bolivia called YouReport, and that we will introduce in Sweden, where young people sign up and say, we want to help you. We want to share information, and you can ask us on how to best do it. So YouReport is also a way that shows how UNICEF is trying to find new ways of working directly with children and young people to mobilize them, to help them get their parents to get vaccinated or their grandparents. So this is also an important tool. I think the question of Eri from UNICEF Sweden has also been answered by you, Hugo, because it was very much linked to a hesitancy as well. Stefan, I was wondering if, while waiting for perhaps yet another question, if you could perhaps just give us a global sort of outlook right now. Where are we? I mentioned that about 1% of the low-income countries have so far been vaccinated. Where are we? And to summarize, what are the key things we need to do as governments, as members of parliament, as civil society, as private business, our member organizations? So that would be wonderful if you could do that in a few minutes.
Thank you, Pernilla. We are short of vaccines. That's the bottom line. That's the very short answer. There is not enough vaccines globally, and the vaccines that are even manufactured or under contract are primarily to people in rich countries. And on Swedish radio, we heard this morning that the European Union this year will have between 500 and 700 million doses extra. So the immediate thing to do is to share doses now. and not to spend time haggling over whether we will pay for, we will ask money for them, whether we will take the development aid money away to pay for the vaccine doses, etc. That's the immediate. Share doses now, because we already paid for them as an insurance for ourselves, that there wouldn't be enough vaccines, etc. The second immediate thing to do now is to take away the trade barriers that actually make some vaccine factories in the world not produce optimally because they are lacking one input or the other in this, which some country or other is holding back. And I think it's shameful that our governance mechanisms cannot follow the progress in science and making sure that we produce optimally. And the third one is actually to start the tech transfer now to countries in the regions so that we can have and not only more production sites in the world and increase the production capacity, because we put our eggs in the India basket and actually having India as the big vaccine manufacturer. And when they needed the vaccines themselves, we were in dire straits. We need to support vaccine initiatives to actually have more production sites across the world.
Thank you, Stefan. And I would like to go back now to Bolivia, the country that we are visiting, and over to you, Rafael. If we take the global picture and you take us back to Bolivia, what is the most important thing that we need to invest in? What are the most important things that we need to do in Bolivia now? And how can we and our partners help? And also grateful on behalf of Sweden, since we're in Sweden, that you lifted the very generous support by the Swedish government and therefore the citizens of Sweden to the efforts in Bolivia. But over to you, Rafael, to wrap up a little bit. Back to Bolivia, the key challenges, what do we have to do now?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Pernille. I think that, in terms of Bolivia, the rate of vaccination is like 20% of the population, those eligible, has been vaccinated with the first dose, but only 6%, around 6% with the 2 doses. So basically, we are just partially vaccinated in a way, which creates the next problem, which is the reactivation of the economy, of school, of all the services at 100%. So basically, as long as we wait or delay the process of the vaccination for countries like Bolivia, basically we are doing a real disservice to these countries, increasing this development or welfare gap that we have between countries. So I would say that the first thing is to ensure that the vaccination effort actually gets accelerated in these countries. In Bolivia, Covax is a good mechanism. Bolivia is one of the 3 countries, I believe, that in the region are getting even the vaccines as development assistance. That is for free, but in theory, we should be receiving during this year 5 million doses. But right now we're at 400, and let's see how it goes, right? So we know that we are all making a great effort in Copenhagen, in our own office, supply division office, but WHO, Covax, Gavi, and everyone. And some more vaccines will come. But as Stefan said, we have to make sure these come very quickly. Second, I would say, there were the questions about that, how do we not only deal with the hesitancy, but also with availability in remote areas. So basically what we need to do is ensure that it gets, first, taking Stefan's comment, some equity at the global level. But here we have to ensure some equity at the rural, urban, more developed cities and those communities that are very far away. Unfortunately, the farther away the community, the more complicated to get all the vaccines and implements to those places, which makes it as Hugo mentioned, resource intensive in terms of money. I mean, all the needs that we have, but also people. We need to send 2 or 3 people to one place for 20 or 30 people to be vaccinated. So it is a massive undertaking in terms of the logistics. So I think that is the second one that we are also supporting. You have seen already the videos, but we need to do more. And finally, I would say you mentioned, Pernille, that what we need is also in these countries like Bolivia, in which the government does not have all the resources, technical, financial, and equipment. We need alliances, we need partnerships, we need the private sector to get on board, the international organizations, but also NGOs. So basically, we need to form a group that actually finds synergies rather than not only complementarities. We are far, left that one already. We don't know. We need synergies to make our efforts greater for everyone. I would say that is what we need. That is what we are doing, and well, I appreciate and thank for all your commitment and support, and yeah, let's work for these synergies and work together, all of us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rafael. I think partnership is the way forward. A very quick addition from you on the school situation in Bolivia. We know that if children cannot go back to school, we are really undermining their future and the country's future and the world's future. So just quickly, how large is the percentage of school which has now opened in Bolivia, roughly?
Well, in reality, in terms of the school of going to school, the presence learning, basically it has not opened. It has opened semi-presential, since you will have to go 1 or 2 days a week, but in very few schools, in very remote areas, which makes sense in a way. But then the government Ministry of Health, of Education closed again that possibility. So in reality, it's been 15 months that children, most of them, the immense majority, I would say 95% of them, haven't set foot on a school. But yeah, I mean, there has been virtual, there's been distance learning through radio and through other mechanisms, which unfortunately we are aware. I mean, we know that it's not the same. Depends on the ability of in terms of virtual education, ability of children to actually get connected, which is not very good here, especially for those for those in more difficult economical circumstances. So it's been hard. I mean, and our anticipation is that it's going to be something that is going to affect children and the country in the short run. There was this idea at the beginning of the year with the government to make this year, here the school year goes January to December, January to November. So the idea was this year to recuperate in a way what we lost last year, but then the next wave came and again, everything is closed. So that is actually the next great problem coming. And that's why with vaccines, we would be able to go back to school and we would be able to get the ball rolling again. So yeah, that is the challenge at this point. So. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Rafael. I think it was a very good last sentence to keep in our minds, that with vaccine, children can get back to school and get back to their life, but not really get back to the way it was according to UNICEF. It has to be a better life. And we talk a lot about building back better, and it has to concern children and young people. It has to be put, like Stefan often says, in the center of everything we do now. So thank you all for being with us. And I hope that next time we'll be physically in Bolivia. But it's also wonderful to be able to recognize the importance of these digital journeys that allows for so many more people to see the world. And this trip will be on YouTube, on UNICEF YouTube channel. And there is also a version, just by tomorrow, we will have a version with sign language to allow for even more people. So please share this trip to others who couldn't be here today. And contact me or my colleagues if you want to use or can use some of the parts of the clips or the movies that you have seen. So thank you to the wonderful team in Bolivia. Wonderful to have colleagues like you and that we can work across continents, across time zones, even with the lines sometimes is not perfect. Thank you, Stefan, for being a part of this meeting and all my colleagues who's been helping us this to make it happen. So thank you so much, and let's keep on working to deliver what we have to do in the next couple of months. Thank you so much. I wish you a great day.